Good evening, guys. Hello, how are we doing? You are back on the SpursRelated YouTube channel. I hope you're all well and still buzzing after that fantastic win yesterday against Brighton and Hove Albion. I'm here, as always, with our co-host, Andre from SpursRelated. Andre, are you still buzzing from yesterday, mate?
Of course I'm buzzing. What a way to win. Very good. Lots of improvements, a step forward, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, massive step forward. Obviously, we saw the new boys, like we said yesterday. Absolutely fantastic stuff. And, you know, really positive performance all round. I thought maybe bar one or two individuals, I thought they all had very good games. I actually did some player ratings, which we can share in just a little bit. But yeah, I was very impressed with the performance yesterday. Absolutely. And obviously today was the fifth round draw of the FA Cup. The last 16 teams left. And actually, as we speak, Boreham Wood, non-league Boreham Wood, are actually beating Bournemouth in the Championship at Bournemouth. So that is incredible as well. So let's see how that one pans out. But yeah, Spurs got Middlesbrough of the Championship, who obviously beat Man United on penalties on Friday night, which was incredible at Old Trafford. How you feeling about it, Andre?
Well, the thing is, Middlesbrough's sort of been on the up ever since Chris Wilder took over that team back in November. So it's going to be a hard one. I wouldn't take it lightly. They've had 13 games and they've only lost 2. They've won 8 games and had 3 draws. So it's a
Wow.
very good record to have. And Chris Wilder was the previous Sheffield United manager, and you know what he did with them. So
Yeah, class manager, really good manager. Obviously sent Sheffield United into that Premier League and made them a very good team in the Premier League for arguably 1 or 2 seasons. And then obviously they got relegated again, I believe, on their 3rd season in the Premier League. But Chris Wilder, an absolutely fantastic manager. We got a couple of the regulars in here. A and Army, big yourself up, mate. Always in here. An absolute Spurs-related Army legend. COYS, I believe we can win. And Romero is a Rolls-Royce defender. What a performance from the man yesterday. I was watching the highlights again. Oh my goodness, the way he just skinned Morpay in his own box and just turned in the fake shot. Ah, lovely, lovely stuff. Mark's in it as usual. Mark, big yourself up. He says, evening, lads. How different did we look with all the players pulling in the same direction? Exactly. You get rid of those 3 Deadwoods in Dele Alli, Lo Celso and Ndombele, and you've got a bit of Conte ball brewing at that Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Unbelievable stuff, mate. And I hope you're doing well. Okay, let's just hear some more stats about Middlesbrough, Andre. I know you've been doing your homework, you've been doing your research, you're top of the class. Let's hear about Middlesbrough's best players, shall we?
all right, so we got Andre Sporar, who has he was brought in on loan from Sporting CP. He's got 7 goals right now, 2 assists. Obviously, been pulling a lot of the work in the championship. A lot of chance, if you were to check on YouTube, lots of chance for that guy. Definitely a very classy player for Middlesbrough. Very good pull. You got Matt Crooks, who's also been brought in. He's definitely been revolutionized in that team. He just came in the summer, but Chris Wilder's been using him very well. He is the guy, I'm pretty sure, who scored the Man United goal as well. So
Yep.
that's he's got good positioning. So hopefully our defenders can keep a good eye on him, because it looks like he likes to pull up there and be ready for that rebound or for that cross in. So definitely be a lot careful with him. Duncan Watmore was also he was the one who gave that assist, which, depending on who you talk to, might have been a handball. But I mean, did you see the goal, James?
Yeah, I saw the handball. There was a lot of controversy over that one, and a lot of question marks as to why that wasn't overturned. But I absolutely love it. The fact we're playing Middlesbrough and not Man United, so I'm certainly not going to be complaining on that one, Andre. But I know that Middlesbrough have some dangerous players, and the fact they've gone from Neil Warnock as their manager, classic English manager, brutal manager, absolute legend of the game, to Chris Wilder, who's absolutely been unbelievable when he was in charge of Sheffield United. A bit of a sad ending, and I know a lot of Sheffield United fans were actually a bit unhappy to see him go. But they've still got some unbelievable players, Middlesbrough. They've even got Sol Bamba at the back, who, if you remember, used to play, I believe, for Cardiff in the Premier League, and actually became ill. I think he got a nasty illness and he's back in the game. And actually, it was a bit of a meme going around. When they won the penalty shootout, he's just standing there with his arms in the air while all the other players ran off. And he got asked why he didn't run with the players, and he said, "I'm getting too old for this." So I thought that was absolutely fantastic. But yeah, obviously Harry Kane's got to try and get past him and the other Middlesbrough defenders. Who do you think Middlesbrough remind you of in the Premier League? What kind of team?
Honestly, I would say more close. It was close to the Brighton one, except they have some finishing in there.
Yeah.
They have. I'm sure they didn't use Sporar in the Manchester United game, but I bet you they will be using him in the Tottenham game. They're gonna need someone who can really push in there in between Romero and if Dyer gets used as well. Just going in there, trying to flick off, and Matt Crooks playing with him alongside, linking up. That's going to be a dangerous duo there. And even Chris Wilder actually got the manager of the month in December. And the right wing back, Isaiah, I think it was Isaiah Jones. He also he got the player of the month in December as well. So Middlesbrough has just really been rising up there. They're currently set. They went from 14th to 7th.
Oh,
and
wow.
they're tied in 6th with who is it right now they're tied with?
So
they're tied with West Brom. They're tied with West Brom, and it's a 7-point gap up to the 3rd spot.
Wow, they're a decent team then. Really, they're pushing for the playoffs. Obviously, used to be in the Premier League in the sort of 2000s era, and wow, the fact they're pushing for playoffs, man, from 14th place. West Brom were top of the league at one point, and now they're level with them. Is says an awful lot. That is incredible. That's wow, that's staggered me. I didn't realize they were doing that well. So maybe we should be a little bit worried about this tie. Obviously we won the game against Brighton. Brighton being a decent Premier League side. Do you think we have anything to worry about, or do you think if we played as well as we did against Brighton, we should be comfortable against these guys?
I would say that we need to be on our A game regardless, because I'm thinking that Manchester United thought they would get an easy win here, and then look what happened.
Yeah, it's complacency.
Yeah, it leaves room for fluky goals sometimes, and then that's when you get screwed over. So it really is one of those things where we got to finish that off like right off the bat. I would start Bentancur. I would start Kane. I would start Son. Get some nice goals in there in the first half, so in the second half we can be, still play like we should, but we're not scared that one goal will change everything.
Yeah, very good point. Mark's in here says, I know it was only 20 minutes, but Bentancur looked classy. That little turn he did was unbelievable.
Oh yeah.
On the edge of his own box, just completely like almost did a little Cruyff turn and got away from his player. I think it might have even been Morpay again. The guy got absolutely pocketed by several players. But yeah, Romero for me was a standout performer. Reguilon, Emerson, Kane, Son. I think the only couple of players I wasn't too sure on was Winks and Lucas. And to be fair to them, recently in the sort of last 1 or 2 months, they've been two of our best players. So it's also nice that the other players are shining, but maybe we'll see them return to their form as well.
Ideally, yeah.
AN Army saying we truly have to be on our A game. Lower tier teams can genuinely turn into prime Barcelona against big teams just with their sheer determination. And absolutely, that's spot on. Exactly that. Like they've got really nothing to play for. Obviously, Middlesbrough, as we now know, are going for the playoffs and trying to get promotion. But the Cups runs almost mean much more to these teams that never really get the chance to play the Premier League opposition. And this will be a massive party at the Riverside Stadium on, I think it's a midweek game, annoyingly. I don't know why they decided to do it. I think it's a Tuesday or a Wednesday game on the week commencing the 28th of February. So look out for which slot that goes into. But that's a whole nother story. I know there's a lot of fans that aren't happy for the fact that the FA Cup aren't really, and the TV the TV companies aren't really thinking of the fans traveling all the way up to Middlesbrough. It's a long journey, maybe 3-4 hours for some people, and all the way there on a Tuesday or Wednesday night when people have work and people have to get back on a train. It's just not very considerate. But without ranting about that, I just think it's something that needs to be considered by these sort of competitions, don't you think, Andre?
Yeah, and don't forget, Chris Wilder, one advantage he has that he brings to Middlesbrough is that he has faced all these Premier League teams before. right? He's faced Man United. He knows, even though there's a lot of new players in there, he knows sort of how they play. He knows which players to look out for, and it's going to be the same with Tottenham. He has beat Tottenham before, 3-1. I think we got battered in 2020, didn't we?
Yeah,
Or was it a
3-1.
tie?
Yeah.
It was a 3-1. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, at Sheffield United, and they caused us a few problems on a lot of those games. Actually, I remember they came to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in 2019 November, and they drew 1-1. And they actually had a goal chalked off on the VAR that was very harsh. I remember it very well, and they felt like they should have walked away with 3 points. So, yeah, I mean, obviously not going on about Sheffield United, but a Chris Wilder side is hard to break down, isn't it, Andre?
Yeah, that's why I'm definitely very worried. He's gotten the best use out of his players, and I really think we need to be on the lookout for that and not undermine this team.
Absolutely spot on. Before we talk about more, maybe about the Brighton game yesterday, tell us a little bit about sort of how you're expecting it to go. And guys, in the chat, if you're still in the chat, let us know what you think the score would be in this Tottenham Middlesbrough game. Obviously, quite an early prediction. Is still 3 weeks away, but it's still worth getting your insight and seeing what you think the score would be. I personally, if you ask me now, I'm going to say sort of a 3-1 Spurs. I can see us conceding, but I also feel like we're just that level above. Really, we're that level above them. We've got with the likes of Son and Romero back, who hopefully, touch wood, will stay fit. It's just proved how much of a difference that has been, and I'm excited for the games against Southampton and Wolves this week coming up. It's going to be an absolutely exciting couple of games. But Andre, my man, what do you think the score would be against Middlesbrough?
I agree with you as well. I think if we give it the attention it deserves, we should be winning a 3-1. I could see us maybe conceding because, again, Chris Wilder's gotten the best use out of especially those two players. So I could see them sneaking in there and getting one. But I think our team can pull through and get a nice 3-1 in there, a nice comfortable gap.
Absolutely. Iron Army's backing our thoughts on 3-1. He says, as I believe we can finish the chances United received. Yeah, exactly. Ronaldo, see Ronaldo put it past the post and absolutely fluffed his lines from a penalty. They call him Penaldo, absolutely fluffed his lines. As soon as he turns 37, something's gone wrong with his shooting boots from the spot. And wow, 37 Ronaldo, that's another matter, isn't it? That's incredible to think that.
Yeah.
But obviously also the fact that we've just got that little bit of an advantage over Man United. Man United are in dire straits at the moment. I feel like we're at the end of our tunnel on our sort of dire straits run that we had under Nuno, and obviously we're seeing light at the tunnel with this January transfer window, and the fact that Conte's really getting that Conte ball cooking now. I'm excited to see how we do, and I really think we can go all the way in this competition. I know I kid myself every single year, but I mean, if anyone knows how to win a trophy, it's that man, Antonio Conte. So I feel like this is the perfect opportunity to get through to the quarterfinals. It's right in saying the quarterfinals. Yeah, quarterfinals. And then we could face one of the big boys. It could be a Liverpool, could be a Chelsea, it could be a Man City. Let's see. But did you notice Man City got a nice away tie? I think it was Peterborough. I mean,
yeah,
always Man City getting the easiest tie. It's just unbelievable. And Liverpool, remind me who Liverpool got?
they got Norwich.
Norwich. Oh, again, they love scoring. I mean, Luis Suarez used to love playing against Norwich. That guy scored for fun against them. SOF's back in here. Welcome on in, mate. I hope you enjoyed the game yesterday. He said 3-1. United created loads of chances against them, but couldn't finish. Exactly. And that's what I'm saying. Son and Kane, even Kulusevski, Bergwijn. Well, I don't know what happened with him yesterday. Andre, I know you were absolutely wreathing on the stream about that one.
Yeah, he gave me that shot he took was exactly the kind of shots that Man United was taking the entire game. So that's why I was just worried, because I didn't want to see that. I don't want to see that repeat on Middlesbrough if they're giving us trouble.
Yeah, exactly that. SOF says Bruno missed an open goal.
Yes, he did.
He did. And Alanga missed the penalty at the end. And
you can't even fault him for that, though,
No, exactly. But I mean, they shouldn't have even got to penalties, really. Their keeper is former Tottenham. He looked shaky. Who's their manager? Not their manager, sorry. Who's their goalkeeper at the moment? Let me have a little double check on that. Lumley. Okay, Joe Lumley. He didn't used to play for Tottenham. The keeper is former Tottenham. Unless it's their one on the bench, maybe. Oh. No, I'm going to have to ask SOF what he means by that one, because I didn't think they had a former Spurs keeper. But there you go, you're probably right. And he said he'll probably turn into Brian De Gea against us. Yeah, probably will. Exactly that. But any more concluding points about Middlesbrough? Obviously, we'll do a much bigger stream on this close to the time. But, I mean, maybe your concluding thoughts, Andre?
Well, I think that we can say all we want about their form right now, but it'll make more of an analysis can be made once we're getting close to the tie and what their form is like then. Who knows what place they're in by then? Maybe they'll be further up the table, and in that case, definitely I know Conte's going to give it the attention it deserves if he sees that they're getting up there.
Yeah, absolutely. Guys, I pulled up the match review I did on the player ratings for the Tottenham Brighton game. This is this is on the Forza Football app, guys. We kind of do their ratings over there, and I put Lloris as a 7. I thought he had a solid game, made a couple of important saves, keeping us in it at times. There was one save, I think it was against Basuma, which was an unbelievable save, keeping us in the game. And then, of course, put Cati Romero at an 8, our second highest rating. Just an unbelievable return back. Really was solid. Andre, what are your thoughts on Romero and Lloris yesterday?
Well, Lloris, when you asked me what were some standout performances, I gave Lloris the credit he deserved. He was stopping balls left and right. I definitely think we gave Brighton more chances than we should have, but Lloris did a good job of keeping those out. And that was the big point I gave in the difference between Lloris and Golini, is that Lloris most of the time bails out the defensive errors. He gets those balls out. Golini, on the other hand, I think his positioning is a little off, and then they end up scoring in the tight corners where, you can't really blame Golini too much at that point, but in some instances you can.
Yeah.
In terms of Romero, I thought he was great, except that one mistake where he tends to come up and then gets sort of left behind there.
Yeah, I would agree. Lloris was class. Kageta's in here. Big up yourself, Kageta. He says Chiellini couldn't save a Word document. Yeah, even if you had recovery mode on that Word document, he'd still probably lose it somehow. You're spot on, Kageta, and I hope you're doing well, mate. I feel like it's been a couple of days since we've seen you, but I hope you enjoyed the game yesterday, my man, and I hope you're keeping well. SOF said they have Aaron Connolly too. He did a number on us against for Brighton. He did at Brace in 2019, which I think was the game before Pochettino got sacked. Or one of the games before he got sacked. That was an absolute nightmare at the Amex Stadium that day. So happy Cutty is back. Massive boost. Absolutely, mate. Hashtag Enakal Levy out says Emerson was awful. Really? I thought he was decent.
Yeah, I thought he was decent. At least to me, he seemed like it was a much more impressive game than the ones I've seen in previous times. But, he could do better. And I definitely think that goal was fluky. It was more of a ricochet. It hit another player. But, a goal's a goal. And he gave that chance.
Yeah, absolutely. Gageta's saying, hope you guys are good. Thanks, my man. I hope you're doing well, and I hope you enjoyed that game yesterday, like I said. What about Harry's goal? He really was back to his best. Yeah, echo your thoughts there. He was absolutely Harry Kane. Prime Harry Kane yesterday. Really was amazing. Spraying the balls about the park. Really was in that box ready for the poacher's finish when Son ran through on goal. And obviously that absolute beauty for the first goal to kick things off and just looped past I was about to say Davinson Sanchez. Robert Sanchez in goal for Brighton. It was an absolute peach, wasn't it, Andre?
Yeah, it was an amazing goal. As soon as I saw him give that little touch, I was like, oh, the Brighton defender better do something or that's going in. And he didn't do anything. He just stood there and just let it happen.
Absolutely quality stuff. Kageta's got a question for us both, and he says, who's the best striker you've seen play for us? It's got to be Harry Kane for me. I mean, I'm obviously a massive Jermaine Defoe fan, as you can see in the background. But for me, Harry Kane is just absolutely world class. For me, I've got to say Harry Kane. I don't know about you, Andre.
Oh, same thing. Harry Kane. Harry Kane's when he's on his top form, he is unstoppable. I always say that a classic Harry Kane goal is finding a chance from a half chance.
Exactly that. Yeah, he's just a class above, really. Like, he's the best striker we've ever had. And, anyone that talks down on his name and says that he's had a bad season. Just look at his goal records, goal numbers. I mean, they're just out of this world, really, and one of the best in Europe. So, yeah, I would say Harry Kane. I hope we sign a backup goalkeeper soon who could be Lloris's future successor. I'm tired of having our defence massively downgraded just because we don't have Lloris. Absolutely. I mean, the guy is, 36 years old? We signed him on another 2.5-year deal. The guy is an absolute club legend, and I absolutely love him. And I'll be very, very sad when he eventually does go. But I think you're right. We need to start looking for that successor within the next 2 years, obviously, because we really don't want to be ended up with like some kind of, almost like this B Tech option that's going to absolutely cause problems at the back, because it means our defense will be busier, because we cannot let that ball get near the goal if we got a frail option in goal. Absolutely.
Well, Lloris even said in his interview that he's prepared to see who's going to be the next one coming in after him. He signed those 2 years knowing that that's his final 2.
Yeah.
And I know for a fact that he is going to be very nervous if he doesn't see someone who can take on what he's been doing.
Spot on. Lumley was in the Spurs Youth Academy, just looked on Transfer Market. Okay, I looked on Flash Scores when you said, and I couldn't see it, so it makes sense about the academy. The real question was, who was he crossing that ball to? It was no one in the box. You're absolutely right, mate. But do you know what? You got to take it with a pinch of salt, and he scored an absolute banger. I mean, it's an own goal, but, and I thought he had a solid game as well, so I didn't think he was poor, but...
He's got a point, though. There was no one there who wasn't crossing it to.
Yeah, he didn't look up. Yeah, exactly. But, we take it all day long.
Yeah.
Harry's passing is something else. I've never seen a centre forward pass as well as he does. Couldn't agree more.
Yeah, all of his passes, a lot of them were just one touches that just flew by to the front to allow the person to run.
Absolutely. The way Harry positioned himself for the first goal just looked like his prime. Absolutely beautiful. Exactly that. Who would you guys like to see us sign in the summer? I feel like this is a whole nother video in itself. Yeah, so we'll probably have a video on that maybe in this coming week. But just to reel off one name, I'm looking at Jonathan David, like Andre, my man over there. I'm looking at Jonathan David as a backup option for Kane, and maybe even to play as a second striker with Son alongside the other side. Maybe, let's see, maybe Kane can play in that number 10 role, or even Son. But I'm looking at Jonathan David, and I'm looking at that centre-back, maybe like a Sven Botman or maybe one of the centre-backs for in this area. There's so many options there. Godspeed Kane, unless you're old enough to have seen Greaves. Exactly that, mate. Yeah, you're spot on. Yeah, everyone's going to say Harry Kane unless you're old enough to have seen Greaves. Only 30 goals behind him in the goal record. Unbelievable.
He's got it. He's almost there. He'll make it.
And Kagette has also said Berber was one of my favourites, as well as Jermaine Defoe, but Harry, for me, is the best. His goal record speaks for itself. Absolutely, guys. Fantastic discussions coming through. You guys like Noni Madueke? He looks like a talent. Another one we let go. So frustrating. Yeah, and we're linked to signing back for £40 million. It's unbelievable. I can see Kane moving to midfield. The older gets, his passing and vision is very underrated. It's very underrated unless you're a Spurs fan and see it week in, week out. I'd agree. But just to go through these ratings very quickly, Andre. On the whole, would you agree? I'm going to go say. I said Davinson Sanchez 7. What would you have said?
Davinson Sanchez, yeah, I'd give him a 7. I didn't see any mistakes in there. He tracked back when he needed to. He made some good tackles. Yeah, but nothing extraordinary.
Yeah, Ben Davies 7.
Yeah. He also played it safe. He was good. I didn't find myself looking at him for anything bad or anything super good. So I mean, that's a decent performance.
Yep, I gave Reggie a 6 just because I maybe that was a little bit harsh. Maybe I should have given him a 6.5/7 on that just because of how quick he was. But I don't feel like he was quite quiet, although he was just running all the time. I think that whoever made that point earlier is a good point. Maybe 6 is a little bit harsh, but I also gave Emerson a 7.5. It would have probably been a 6.5 or a 7, but obviously the fact that he contributed to that second goal was unbelievable.
Yeah. Reguilon, I would have given him a little higher just because, honestly, I could not believe that in the 80th minute, that guy was still running around like the game just started.
Yeah, good point. 2 midfield generals. I gave Harry Winks a 6. I thought it wasn't one of his best games, but still, he didn't do anything particularly wrong, hence the 6. And Højbjerg, I thought had a decent game, really battled with Basuma all game, so I gave him a 7.
Yeah. I also thought Lucas Moura was a little... He didn't do too much, but 6 is average, and that's the kind of
Mm.
performances we were getting from them at the moment. So, but that's fine.
Absolutely. And then the front three, I gave Lucas 5.5. I thought it was one of his more poor games. On the whole, he was quite quiet, trying to make things happen, maybe trying a little bit too hard at times to try and be in the limelight. So I gave him a 5.5. He did lose it a couple of times. I gave Sonny a 7.5 based on the fact it was just above average, on the fact that he was just absolutely unbelievable for that third goal. I saw that flashback against Burnley just in my head. It was unbelievable run. So I gave him a 7.5. Then I gave Kane a 9, man of the match for me, 2 goals, back to primary gain, an absolute banger, an absolute poacher's finish, and ran his socks off and was spraying the balls about, like I said earlier. So I gave him the man of the match on a 9. Thoughts on that?
I agree 100% with those two. They were absolutely the chef's kiss. So good, so good.
Lovely stuff. Lovely stuff. I'm glad we agreed on most. But yeah, A&Army saying Reguilon, I think, should have got higher than that 6. He was great yesterday. I've been repeating it, but he was running non-stop. You can truly see his dedication to Conte and his system. Yeah, absolutely. Cutty for us, Gagetta, just before you joined, he was unbelievable, an absolute general at the back. I think I gave him an 8 there. He was just fantastic for me, and I think Andre agrees.
Yeah.
Would you trust Dyer on the left? Not really. I'd love to see a left-footed player on that left-hand side of centre back. Reguilon kept Lamptey quiet. I thought he had a good. Yeah, he did. He did make Lamptey get substituted. So yeah, it's a very good point.
Yeah.
And Sanchez is playing quietly. Quietly playing very well under the Conte system. Would be harsh to drop him when Dyer gets fit. I wouldn't mind rotating Dyer with Davies. Dyer played on the left in most of the last season. Yeah, but I think a 5 at the back's probably a little bit different to a 4 at the back. But I do see what you're saying. I just think we need that extra centre back as a left centre back. Ben Davies papers over the cracks for now, which is great. But
yeah,
for me,
ideally, sorry, is to also have a bench that can be rotated without fearing that you're bringing someone inferior to the team. Like, look, when Chelsea was making their substitutes, I was like, we're done. They substituted Conte in. Like, you got to have players like that. You got to have players that you can rotate, and no matter who comes on, you got the other team is still fearful of who's coming on.
Yeah, exactly that. Gagetta says Basuma's performance in the second half was scarily good. Someone we should definitely look at in summer. Yeah, he was fantastic. Can get him at a cost price too. Yeah, absolutely spot on.
Yeah,
Spot
I
on.
say we raid Brighton in the summer, and we get Lamptey and we get Basuma, and I think it was Brighton that I said a few videos ago that they're looking at Rodin, right? So I mean, we could maybe use that as part of the deal.
Yeah, exactly that. Guys, that's all we got time for. Thank you so much for all the amazing comments, amazing talking points, and just general chat in the comments. We really appreciate your support as always. I don't like going on about it too much, but make sure you hit that thumbs up button. It's so easy. It takes 1 second to hit the thumbs up button. It really helps us. And subscribe if you're new. Tell your friends about us. Go and listen on Spotify if you'd rather do that while you may be working, because we're all over Spotify and Apple Pods as well. And that's all we got time for. Andre, thanks very much for joining me once again.
Of course. Thank you for having me here. Always enjoying it.
Of course. And guys, we'll be back with another video, multiple videos in the week. So stay tuned for that. Keep those notifications turned on, and we'll speak to you soon. All the best. Spurs Related signing out. Bye-bye. Come on, you Spurs.